Deepest, Darkest Secret, Chapter 29. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. Luke 8:17. 4 weeks earlier. Jason wouldn't say he's excited about going on this trip with his brother. He finds it odd that Daniel suddenly feels the need to take him on a vacation. They aren't exactly close, too many years difference in their ages. His parents say it's important to Daniel, so Jason decides not to argue. He's never heard of Prelo before, but Daniel says he found a great condo on the lake. He shows Jason the listing on his phone. It looks great. 2 stories, 4 bedrooms, a game room, and a pool located on the same block that's open to anyone staying in one of the condos. It says there are jet skis and a small boat to use on the lake. None of that will be very useful, though. It's the beginning of January. If nothing else, they will have a break from their parents. It's not like Jason doesn't love his parents. They aren't overly strict, but they're older than the parents in this neighborhood. They don't have the energy to do fun things with him anymore. It also means that they don't have friends with kids Jason's age. The other boys in the neighborhood all go to school together, but Jason's parents decided to homeschool him. It's hard to get into a friend group when the other kids' parents all know each other and hang out together. It's late afternoon when they pull into the driveway. The first thing Jason realizes is that the pictures online don't quite match what he's seeing. The wood siding is rotting away in places, its bright blue color having faded in the strong Louisiana sun. One panel of the window upstairs is covered with part of a cardboard box and many strips of duct tape. Daniel peers out the windshield after he parks the car. Well, I can see why I got such a good deal. It's all right. The important thing is that we'll be able to spend time together. Let's get the car unpacked. Inside, the worn carpets and dingy walls are just as depressing as the outside. Daniel and Jason each claim one of the upstairs bedrooms. Daniel tells Jason to unpack his clothes so he's not living out of a suitcase for 4 weeks. Jason unzips his suitcase, grabs the clothing from it, and places it all on top the dresser. They put the groceries they brought with them in the kitchen. Daniel's not usually the cook in the family, so there are a lot of snacks, but very little meat or vegetables, which is fine with Jason. Once the food is taken care of, Jason and Daniel sit in the living room. What do you want to do first? Daniel asks. I saw a pool table and a dartboard in the game room. Can we take a walk around the neighborhood? See if there are kids around I could hang out with? Yeah, we could. Just remember, I brought you here to spend time together. I don't want you making friends and leaving me high and dry all vacation. It would have been nice to come when we could use the jet skis, but the price was cheaper in the winter. I'm sure there's lots of things we can do around the house instead. I know, Jason says irritably. As the two of them go outside, they can hear music coming from down the street. They walk towards the sound. 3 houses down is the Stilt House. Underneath, people are listening to music and hanging out. Daniel approaches a pretty girl with pink-streaked black hair who invites them to join the party. Jason doesn't see any kids his age. I can't even find friends on vacation. Daniel, he says as he tugs on his shirt, can we go back? Come on, man, we just got here. There's food and music. That nice lady says we can stay and party with them. He points to the woman who has left his side to grab a drink. Can you stay and I go back to the condo? There's nobody here for me to hang out with. The woman returns, hands Daniel a drink, and places her arm around his waist. Yeah, go ahead. I won't stay long. We can throw darts when I get back. Jason makes his way back to the condo alone. He goes to his room, grabs a comic book he brought with him, and spreads out on his bed to look at the pictures. One day his parents will get around to teaching him to read, but so far they haven't taught him anything more than how to say the alphabet and count to 10. Before long, he falls asleep waiting for Daniel. Hours later, loud music and laughter wake Jason. He's lying on his side, comic book under his face, wet with drool. He stretches, rubs his eyes, and sits up in bed, peeling the book from his face. Downstairs he finds a living room full of people he doesn't know. The only face he recognizes is the woman with the pink-streaked hair. Daniel is nowhere in sight. He approaches the pink-haired lady. Do you know where Daniel is? he asks. Haven't seen him for a while, she tells him. Timidly, he makes his way into the kitchen where more people are gathered. The countertops are lined with bottles. On the table, he sees lines of sugar laid out on a cutting board. He grabs a bag of chips from the pantry and goes in search of Daniel. The game room is also crowded. Some men are playing pool, others are throwing darts. Daniel is sitting at a tall table in the corner, arms wrapped around a blonde woman. He sees Jason approach and pushes her away gently. Hey, man, I made some friends. They're going to party at our place tonight. You good? So much for quality time together, Jason thinks. I'm hungry. We'll order some pizza. How's that sound? Whatever. As Jason makes his way back through the house to go to his room, a tall, burly man with yellow teeth and tattoos on his forearms grabs him, his hand like a vice on Jason's arm. You must be the new guy's kid, he growls at Jason. Brother, Jason replies. Well, your brother thinks it's cool to hang all over other guys' women. I think I need to teach him a lesson. You're going to help with that. The guy drags Jason over to the couch and tells him to sit. Jason is a compliant kid. He's not one to buck authority. Even if he were, this guy doesn't look like the type to take that from a kid. So he sits as he's told and eats the snack he grabbed earlier from the kitchen. Chapter 30, Present Day. Over the next few weeks, the story of Daniel and Jason unfolds. While it appears Daniel initially had good intentions to bring his son on vacation, he did not do a good job in researching the area. Daniel had a history of drug abuse, so when he found out his new neighbors liked to party, it didn't take long for him to become fast friends with them and to slip back into his old ways. Gary broke down and told the police everything. He told them that Daniel hosted parties at the condo on a daily basis. The house was constantly filled with people doing a variety of drugs. Those who were alert enough were also partaking in sexual acts wherever they could, not bothering to take it somewhere private. Jason, while he was there, was never made to stay in his room. He was always right in the middle of it all. The people at these parties were not the sort you wanted to hang around your 7-year-old son, but Daniel was so high that he didn't pay attention to Jason. One of the local drug dealers, a man known as Onyx, took an immediate dislike to Daniel and Jason, but since his clients were at these parties, so was he. While Daniel was in another room, Onyx would make Jason sit next to him. He was a smoker, and he would use Jason's arm to put out his cigarettes. He threatened to kill him if he made a sound. None of the people at the party said a word about it. Gary said they were either all too scared or too stoned. Since he had his run-ins with Onyx in the past, he was part of that first group. Onyx would make the kid go get beers from the fridge or grab his syringe from his bag, and if Jason didn't obey, he'd whip him with a switch. After a particularly bad beating, Jason apparently had had enough. Without even stopping to put on shoes, he ran out of the condo. At this point, it's unclear where Jason went. Based on what Gary has told them, it was likely only 3 days into their visit. Jason wasn't found until 11 days later. As any parents would be, the Thompsons were distraught over the death of their son. The story they gave Troy that day at DCFS about Sophia not wanting the child supposedly came from Daniel. This is one of the many things that confuses Sophia about the whole story. Daniel was the one that wanted her to get an abortion. Why would he tell his parents he wanted to keep his child? Or were his parents the ones that really wanted Jason? When Sophia was discharged from the hospital without her son, she didn't know that Daniel and his parents showed up to claim him. She had been honest and put Daniel's name on the birth certificate. All Daniel was supposed to do was sign his rights away, and then the adoption agency could have started working on finding someone to adopt the child. The hospital was well within their rights to release the baby to him, seeing that he was the biological father. After they were told the real story, the Thompsons were open to letting Sophia and Troy take Luke for day dates once he was back in their custody. For now, he was still with Christine until the Thompsons could get approved through DCFS. While they were waiting on approvals, they kept the knowledge of who Luke is to themselves. The Thompsons told Sophia they did not want to tell Jason about Daniel, and she complied, but told them that the time would come when he would have to be told. The Saturday after the whole story came out, Troy and Sophia went to pick up Luke from Christine's for another fishing trip. They were still calling him Luke for now. Sophia had talked to the Thompsons and told them they were going to break the news to Jason on the trip. She didn't see the need for them to continue waiting. They were concerned, but eventually agreed. At Christine's house, Troy helps Luke get his things together while Christine and Sophia go into the kitchen. "Do you have coffee made?" Sophia asks. "If I'm awake at this hour, you better believe I have coffee made. Is something going on? Has there been any update on the Thompsons getting approval to release Luke to them?" "A lot more is going on than that. Sit, please. This is going to surprise you." Christine sits and Sophia explains the entire situation to her. Previously, they had just told her that they found Luke's grandparents and found his father deceased, but she had not gone into detail about her being Luke's mother. It was time for her to know. When Sophia is done talking, Christine just stares at her for a moment. "I don't know what to say. What an odd turn of events. You never said anything about having a son." "Please, don't be hurt that I didn't tell you. I haven't talked about my son in ages. It was a part of my life that I wasn't proud of. I didn't want to be judged by anyone. Never in my wildest dreams did I think he would turn up wandering the streets of Prelo." "I understand. We're friends, but we're not lifelong best friends. Don't think I don't keep my secrets." Christine winks at Sophia. "Are you going to tell him?" "Today. I'm nervous. We get along well, but I don't know how he's going to feel about me abandoning him as a baby. I'm sure a 7-year-old will not fully understand how I felt or why I had to give him up." "I think he's smarter than you give him credit for. He's already come so far in his class that his teachers think he'll be able to go into the regular 2nd grade next year. Their only concern is him still not talking. I know he adores you, and any kid would be lucky to have you for a mother." "I hope you're right. We should probably get going. Thanks for the encouragement." They both stand and Christine wraps Sophia in a big bear hug. "Good luck, sweetie. Let me know how it goes." Luke and Troy are waiting by the truck when Sophia walks outside. They have the hood popped and Troy is telling Luke all about his engine. Sophia thinks she should probably take some time to learn about those types of things. In her mind, there is no version of the future that does not include Luke and Troy, and they seem to share this interest. They see her approach and close the hood. Troy opens her door and they all climb in, ready for a day of fishing. On the drive out to Troy's grandmother's cabin, Troy looks at Luke through the rearview mirror. "Luke," he says softly, "we know. We know what happened to you on your vacation with Daniel. None of it was your fault. I'm so sorry that happened to you. We found the man that did that to you, to your arms. He's going to jail for a long time. You didn't do anything wrong. Nothing you did deserved that type of treatment. Jason." At the sound of his name, Jason's eyes grow big. He shakes his head over and over again. He's rocking in his seat and pounding the side of his head with his fists. "We don't have to call you that if you don't want. You can stay Luke for as long as you like." Sophia reaches her arm back over the seat and holds out her hand. Luke takes it in his. He calms down a little, but the rocking continues. Troy sees the tears coming, but he continues. "We just want you to know that we're doing everything we can to make sure that never happens again. Your parents are heartbroken as well. They want you to come home." Again, Luke shakes his head. Sophia squeezes his hand and holds on a little tighter. "Listen, man, we're working on getting approval from DCFS for them to take you home. Daniel is never going to bother you ever again. Officer Williams found him in that condo. He died of a drug overdose. Now that we know who you are and that your parents didn't hurt you, that's the best place for you to be," Troy explains. Luke stares at Troy, not shaking his head, but not nodding either. "Think on it. We'd really like to know what you were doing for the 11 days after you left the condo," Troy says as he turns back around. Sophia lets him hold her hand for as long as he needs. That turns out to be the rest of the trip. They pull up in Grandmare's driveway and park. Troy had filled in his grandmother on the events that took place with Luke, but still hasn't shared that he is Sophia's son. She is waiting for them on the front porch. Luke runs to her and gives her the biggest hug. She rocks him back and forth, telling him in French that everything is going to be okay. Sophia helps Troy unload the truck and get the stool set up on the pier. Troy is now in a walking cast and is getting around well. They sit down and wait for Luke to join them again. Once he's seated and his line has been cast, Troy looks over his head to Sophia and nods. Sophia takes a deep breath and says, "Luke, there are a few more things we need to tell you. This may all come as a big shock to you, so if you want me to be quiet, just hold out your hand like you're telling me to stop, okay?" Luke nods. What else could they possibly tell him today? "Daniel was not your brother," she begins. Luke scrunches up his forehead. He doesn't understand. "Daniel was really your father. Who you know as your parents are really your grandparents. They're Daniel's parents. A long time ago, 8 years ago in fact, Daniel and I were boyfriend and girlfriend." Luke's eyes shoot up in surprise. Sophia knew Daniel before he was born? "I don't know how to explain the rest. I don't know what you know about babies and things like that, but what I'm trying to say is..." Tears. She just can't stop the tears. She swallows. "Luke, I'm your mother." Luke stands up quickly, so quickly that he lets go of his rod and it falls into the water. "Mom!" he cries out, and he throws himself into Sophia's arms. His arms wrap around her neck. All hesitation of speaking to anyone is gone. Here is his mother, the woman who brought him into this world. She is someone worthy of talking to. Troy and Sophia sit there in shock. She hugs him back and feels the love coming from him. She refuses to let go until he does. It does not escape her that the first word she heard her child speak was "Mom," just like it may have been had she raised him. Eventually, he pulls himself back from the hug. "I always had a feeling something wasn't right with my family," he tells them. "Daniel was always staring at me. I couldn't figure out why. It was kind of creepy, you know. He did not like me. I knew something wasn't right. I never imagined this." Now that he has broken his silence, Sophia and Troy can't get a word in edgewise. "This is great news. Does that mean I really don't need to go back to... what do I call them now? I love you. Can I please stay with you?" he tells her, and then hugs her again. "I love you too, Luke. Even though I gave you up, I never stopped loving you," she chokes out as she begins to cry again. "Unfortunately, there's a lot of legal stuff that needs to be done. I would be breaking the law if I kept you, because when you were born, I agreed to let someone else raise you. Please understand that I made that decision before you were born, before I knew what a great kid you would turn out to be. I was young. I didn't have a job or an idea of what I wanted to do for a living. I knew there was no way I would be able to support both you and me. I didn't know you had ended up with your father and his parents. That was never the plan. I hope you can forgive me. For now, you do need to return to them. They love you and they want you to live with them. I can still visit you. Troy and I can come pick you up for fishing or just to spend the day together." Luke isn't thrilled with that response, but he trusts that she's right. He picks his pole back up. As they continue fishing and enjoying the day together, Luke keeps taking quick looks at Sophia, and he daydreams about a time when he can live with her instead of his grandparents. Between glances, he peppers her with what-if questions. "Mom, is it okay that I call you that now?" Sophia nods, unable to answer without breaking into tears again, feeling a little like the old Luke. "I'm not sure if I understand why you didn't keep me, but it's okay. You did what you had to do, I guess." "Thank you, Luke. That means a lot to me." "What if I go back to my grandparents to live for a little while, and then I live with you for a little while? I know a kid who does that with his parents. They aren't married, so he spends a week with his mom, and then he spends a week with his dad. What if we just left town? We could go somewhere cool and start our lives over. Just you and me, Mom. What if we brought Kevin and Marcus with us? We 3 brothers could stay together. You like them, right? You wouldn't mind having to take care of them, too. And we could take Mr. Troy," Luke throws out. In a whisper, he says, "But maybe he wouldn't like that because he's a cop. Would it be breaking the law? I really like school here. Grandma didn't teach me much. I've learned so many things from Miss Trahan and Miss Clark. What if I go back to live with them and they refuse to let me see you ever again? I don't think I can handle that. I thought you were great before I found out that you were my mom, but now I just love you so much. Luke, Sophia starts. Sweetie, we're going to work everything out. You will see me again. I'll make sure of it. Just give us some time to work everything out the right way. On the drive back to town, Troy asked Luke if he would tell them what happened to him between the time he ran out of the condo and when Troy found him. I really don't remember a lot. I remember that mean man putting his cigarettes on my arms. It hurt so bad. I remember the switch and being so afraid they would do something even worse to me if I didn't do what he said. I was surprised when he didn't chase after me when I ran. But I didn't know anything about where I was or where I could go. I spent a few nights sleeping on boats that were tied up in the water, but I got caught by one of the owners and I ran again. I remember being so hungry that I couldn't think straight. After that, I only have small bits of memories here and there. I finally found my way into town and saw some restaurants. I waited until they were just about to close and hung out in the alley to see if they would throw away food. One lady gave me a sandwich. I'm sure others did too, but I can't remember. I know you said I was wandering around for 11 days. I don't even think I can come up with 11 memories. I'm sorry, Mr. Troy. Troy frowns and shakes his head. It's all right, Luke. Maybe it's best you don't remember everything. What's important is that I found you, and now you're safe. More than that, somehow you found your mother. Sophia and I aren't going to let you out of our lives now. With your grandparents' approval, we'll visit as often as we can. Maybe one day, we can do even more. Back at Christine's house, Luke opens the door to the truck before Troy can even put it in park. With the tires coming to a stop, he hops out and runs into the house. Miss G, Marcus, Kevin, he calls out as he enters. From the back room, one by one, the three emerge, unsure of who is calling them. Marcus makes it to the front door first. Luke rushes forward and wraps his arms around Marcus. Luke, did you call my name? He asks, confused as to what's going on. Kevin and Christine, who have now walked into the room, see the two embracing. Did you just say it was Luke that called our names? Asked Kevin. Luke looks at each of them in turn and nods. Laughing, he lets go of Marcus with one arm and holds it out so Miss G and Kevin can join in the hug. I have so much to tell you, Luke says, as Sophia and Troy walk through the door.